recuperating, Matt. Let me tell you. So we have had shows the past couple of months. Five Iron Frenzy has.
That's pretty exciting. I still haven't seen y'all because you won't come to Philly, but like soon maybe.
Oh my gosh, we will. You just have to move to there was a season, I don't know why, but we kept playing Pittsburgh.
I mean, I can go to Pittsburgh. That's not a
There,
problem.
okay.
But you haven't come to Pennsylvania, period. So like,
I know. Well, truth be told, like, and that's why I wanted to do the podcast today about the concerts, especially Furnace Fest, is just that after, the world shut down for a couple years, we were not doing anything.
yeah.
So it's a big life change.
Yeah, well, you guys, unfortunately, I mean, not unfortunately, but you put out an album in the middle of a pandemic, so I guess these last couple shows are like the first times you've even gotten to play any of those songs in front of an audience.
Absolutely. And it was cool. Like, so when we were going to do the show at the Gothic, that's Denver, we decided we really needed to practice. And people are always asking, how do you practice? Because Reese lives in Virginia, Sonny lives in Orange County, and Dennis lives in New Jersey. So the way we do practice is at Micah's house, the five of us, Micah, Brad, me, Andy, and Scott. And then we record them sometimes and we send them to the other guys and hope that they practice.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because when we were first practicing the new album, we had never played those songs. So we kept the recordings of the other guys. So it was awesome because Reese was singing perfectly in our in-ears while we practiced.
But could you even imagine 10 years ago even attempting to do something like that with that technology? It
No,
would have been
because I
impossible.
mean maybe 10 years ago, but back in the day when we broke up in 2003, like not every like you were checking your email once a day.
Yeah. You're not
Did
getting
I
immediate updates every hour on
Yeah.
the hour.
Did I ever
Yeah.
tell you what my first email address was?
No, what was it?
jeffthegirl@metallica.com. And you had to go to Metallica's main page first and go through a few things. And it was almost always like a big beef with Napster. It was a little bit of Metallica and a lot of beef about streaming. And then it was like, oh, and what is my email? jeffthegirl@metallica.com.
That's
Isn't
so
that
funny.
funny? So back to practice though. So you were right, like in saying that we hadn't played these songs as a band. And then the fun thing was the funniest thing to me is so we have Micah Ortega
Yeah.
on rhythm guitar, and we have Sonny Johnston on lead guitar, but they're not as easy as that. Like it's hard to know in Five Iron songs, like what's the lead part and what's the rhythm part.
Yeah.
So the funniest thing was Micah sitting there with his guitar going, what part did I play and what part does Sonny play? Like, not even knowing like what he recorded, not remembering, and sitting there and being like, having to call Sonny and being like, what part are you going to take on this live song? What part am I going to take on this live song?
And I think that also weirdly shines a light on one of the many things that makes Five Iron such a different band is like I don't know many other ska bands that have the two guitar players for the most part. Usually it's just, a guy playing the
Yeah,
upstrokes. You know what I mean? So
right.
like that
Upstrokes and
that's
leads. Yeah,
yeah,
that's pretty easy.
that seems like a very Five Iron Frenzy specific problem of having two guitarists where you're like, I don't know which part was I playing on this recording
And
anyway.
and it's cool too because a lot of the parts are very ethereal and interesting and textural, and so it was just cool to watch Micah figure out what he was going to play, and then like he can play whatever. Like that guy, he's a shredder, and so can Sonny. Like they're really good guitar players. It's just deciding what they're going to do, and then similarly for horns, like they're and I think this is part of the a new world problem as far as music goes is you write a lot of songs in the studio so you can do a lot of different parts that you can't pull off live, like some of it being for instance textural stuff, like or Dennis playing with us and then also just going off on his own world, or you'll notice in a couple of songs maybe some keyboard, like we have like Scott's really playing that, but how can he can't pull it off live, right? So what happened at Furnace Fest, let me tell you,
Yeah.
it was a shit show.
Okay, perfect. I mean, I was following on social media. The only thing I really pulled from social media was that y'all were trying to fight Blindside, but
Oh, that's Reese being weird. And who knows? Like he is so straight. Like I think there is always a little bit of truth to whatever he's trying to pull. Luckily, I don't think we ran into them, or we wouldn't know, because the whole festival of Furnace Fest, and I don't want to say the whole festival, but I would say 95% is like beefy dudes and long haired dudes. So you wouldn't know if you saw Blindside. I'm just being honest. Like, everyone is like in a hardcore band, and everyone who's backstage and everyone who's a fan, they all look the same. So
Yeah.
I don't know if we saw them.
It's a very interesting show though, because it feels like, as someone who's never been to Furnace Fest ever, like when this kind of came back after going away for almost 20 years, like the vibe that I got was like, hey guys, let's pretend that Cornerstone never went away. Like that seemed like the energy
That's
of it a
so
little
funny
bit.
because I never heard that. I heard that regarding audio feed,
Okay, yeah, I could see
but I
that
never
too.
heard that with Furnace Fest. If you were to say to me, like, before we played it and before I saw the lineup, I was just going to assume it was, this sounds, so cheesy, but the way we talk, a secular festival,
Yeah.
similar to like Warp Tour, Punk and Drublic, like mostly a secular fest. But then playing it, you realize, no, a lot of the creators and the producers of the actual festival are people with Christian backgrounds and happen to like all these other bands too. But coming back to the shit show thing.
Yes. So let's
So
break this.
you didn't hear on social media like that we played a shorter set than we should have, and then what, that we were late?
No,
You did.
especially like
Okay,
when you told me, "Hey, we're going to talk about Furnace Fest," I was just like,
go
"Let's
for
not
it.
know anything. I want to hear I want to hear this story for the first time."
Well, so we play with in-ears.
Yeah.
So we're sponsored by JH Audio with our in-ear molds, and we have a little pack that we wear on our belt. And therefore, we don't have monitors. So all of our monitors are in our ears. Like, we have Master Fader, which is an app with an unfortunate name,
Yeah.
on our phones. And each of us can decide not only how much of each drum, how much of each horn, how loud we want everything. And that's our monitor system.
Yeah.
But in order for that to work, you patch it in. And I don't know all the details, except for that you have to have certain frequencies, because this is all in the invisible world. It's not hardlined, right? So because it's in the invisible world of frequencies, if there are way too many people using in-ears, which we're at a massive festival and there's
Yeah.
a lot of frequencies going on, you're going to hear or you're just not going to get anything, or chaos is going to happen. So essentially, plus every band there gets like a half an hour to switch over from the last set. I think we should get two half an hours, because we have 8 people, not 4,
Yeah.
right? If you have 8 people you're dealing with, shouldn't you get double the amount of time to patch in or to get your mix ready?
I
Logically,
think that validly makes sense. Yes.
they're not going to deal with that. Anyway, so we had a half an hour, and we're trying, like, we're really trying. And I don't know all the details. I'm trying to like just smile and kind of look at the crowd like, getting there, but are we? Like,
Yeah.
no, no, we're not. So at the end of the day, and not only that, in our in-ears, and this is a secret, trade secret, but I think it's awesome. We have click.
Yeah.
So back in the day, and we are good. I'm not going to say we're not good musicians, because back in the day we didn't have click, and we also didn't have cues. But now, from one song to the other where there's no break, we hear 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
you know? And so the crowd doesn't hear that, and we look amazing, right? And actually, oh, look at, there's my little girl.
Yes. My
And
eyes went straight
actually,
to that dog.
I know, isn't she so cute? So yeah, so we have our in-ears, like, we know, and so here's what happened. We're trying to get it going. And all of a sudden we're just like, it's not gonna, serious, it's not gonna work. So we're like, let's just play old school, no monitors. I guess some people had them. We're like, let's just do it old school, punk rock style, like no click, let's just play. And it was great. We played so well. And watching the videos, we sounded so good.
I love that.
We had hired Reed again. Reed is from We Are the Union. And we hired her for front of house. Always the best decision for the Gothic Denver show as well as this show. And she just can dial us in. She's been doing our sound for a long time. And she said from the front of house, it sounded great. So even without, and it didn't have some of that ethereal stuff, because sometimes we use tracks for like maybe a keyboard thing that we can't pull off, or this robotic sound, or just different, like, we call it a wall of sound. We have
Yeah.
so much going on in our recordings when you're listening. And so we were going to have that just played without it. And it sounded, especially the new songs, it was cool.
I feel like the last time I saw Five Iron live, there was a similar maybe not to the full extent, but there was a similar techie issue because the last show that
Sounds
I
about
saw,
right.
well, the last show I saw you at was the first Unitarian when it was like
Oh
100 and
yeah.
something
Oh
degrees in that
yeah.
basement.
No, that was a bigger problem than this. That was
Yeah.
when our, well, not only that,
The amps kept going out, right? Like there
the
was like
amps, and then
circuit breakers going.
we had a computer that was the laptop or whatever was going to help with the clicks, and it was just so hot that everything
Yeah.
wasn't working. And so we had to just figure out what songs do we want to play, on the we didn't, so this one we stuck with a set list, and at that Unitarian show it just went so off the rails that the band members were going, let's just play this song. And then that's making Reese mad because we're like, we haven't practiced these songs. And I actually don't like that either, like just throwing a song into the mix, because you want to sound good, you
Yeah.
want to. And yeah, we have a massive catalog, and so if you just throw it into the mix and it's like, we're going to play it now, it's like, you just hope it's like going from like, we're riding a bike to like, we're riding a unicycle, and you're like, I know how to ride a bike, but I have not practiced my unicycle and I don't want to embarrass myself.
I feel like if there was ever a show where you could get away with just deciding to ride the unicycle on the
Mm.
fly, it was because that is like
You're
that
saying
was
because
a
people didn't have brain cells because it was so hot.
well, it was all that is
Medical
like
issue.
that was like one of the most punk rock shows I've ever been to, just in the sense of like it was just hot, sweaty, dingy. It was like playing at a friend's basement. Like that was
I
what the vibe
I was
felt like.
worried the whole time we were setting up. We set up, and here comes one dude. We're talking a 5 iron show, so we're
Yeah.
used to like this crew that's like wearing black and ready. And there was one dude
Yeah.
with a set of keys just moseying around, moving a carpet. It was like he was like setting up for his like friend's band to practice, not
Yeah.
even the level of practice. And we're like, this is where the show's gonna be, and it's like, getting close to like time to set up, and we're like, where's the sound system? Like,
Yeah.
you're freaking me out. And he's moving things because it's usually like a daycare, and I'm thinking, how can children even being here is disgust.
Yeah, it was that was a
It was
rough
scary.
show. I mean, I do want you to come to Philly, maybe not First Unitarian again, but come to
No,
Philly.
I don't think we would, because like Reese in his medical world, and I don't blame him, like it was getting downright
Oh,
unsafe how hot
but
it was.
I also applaud y'all because the most memorable part of that show to me that like says about 5 Iron was y'all gave away almost all of your water to the people in the crowd because you
Mm,
were so concerned about the
right.
hydration of the audience.
Yeah, you can. And it's weird because some people, like everyone must be different, because some people are smiling through and moshing and crowd surfing. And then some are like, wow. And you're like looking for those people in the crowd, like, know yourself.
Yeah, no, I was
Because
pretty
I was
close to the
hot.
front and I was regretting it almost immediately. I was like, this is too sticky and gross.
I'm a modest woman. I really am. I'm not like, but we went upstairs and all the dudes stripped off their shirt. And I'm like just sitting there in my bra in front of a fan, being like, dude, thank the Lord we're all best friends. We're dying of heat. Like,
I mean,
this
there
is,
were legit points where members stopped playing instruments to go out the back door outside for a minute or two just
yeah,
to like, because it
yeah.
was a freezing day outside. Like that was the other part was everyone was bundled in like hoodies because it was
Right.
so cold outside.
So weird.
Yeah, it was
So
strange.
weird.
So, technical issues of Furnace Fest aside,
Hmm.
I mean, it wasn't like y'all got there, played, and then hopped on a plane and came back. You were there for the full festival. What was the vibe of the
Oh,
show?
I know. And look, I can't even take this off. My husband's irritated because like I kind of spoon him at night, and he's like, that's scratchy. And I'm like, but Furnace Fest was awesome. So Brad, Andy, and I decided we were going in on Thursday night, going to the fest, getting a hotel that night. I saw the lineup for Friday, and I
Yeah,
saw the lineup for Saturday, and I saw the lineup for Sunday. And I was like, there's so many bands I don't want to miss. The minute I saw the lineups, it was already not just playing a show,
yeah,
like at all. Like, and that was part of the problem was, and I knew for the day that we played, I was going to be there for, I mean, this is such a cheesy word, but be there for the fans, but be there for the people that wanted to see us. But on Friday, I was there for being a fangirl, right?
all right, it's Friday. What's like the band you're like
Friday,
excited to see?
Stretch Armstrong. And it
Okay,
was so rad because by that time, Reese had gotten there. I think, I want to say Dennis and Melinda were there. A lot of people in our band were there, and it was so punk rock. They were playing in the indoor. So, Furnace Fest, let me just back up a bit. It is different than any other festival. It's different in a lot of ways. The biggest way is it's right by downtown. So, you could walk. We didn't really walk it, but it'd be like a 40-minute walk to downtown, right?
Yeah, it's not
Most
bad at all.
festivals, Matt, that you go
You're in the
to are in
middle
the
of
middle of,
nowhere. Yeah.
yes,
Creation,
yes.
like when I used to go to Creation Fest, good luck finding anywhere to go that wasn't just staying on the campgrounds for food
Well,
and water.
so that's the other thing about this festival. There's no campgrounds. People are all in hotels or Airbnbs. And it's different because therefore everyone's a little cleaner.
Yep, they're actually getting showers and
They're
not just
well
like pouring water
rested.
bottles. Yeah.
Yeah, they're well rested. There's no camping. This isn't a camping world. It's like
Yeah.
you are all staying in this cool little town of Birmingham, which actually the people were so pleasant and so kind and yes ma'am, yes ma'am, yes ma'am, and all the doors being held for me. And I'm a Denver girl and I'm not used to this, but I liked it. It was cool. I was going into elevators first and whatnot. So you go, everyone's in hotels and Airbnbs. And so you go to this fest, and what it is there's a bunch of, how there's areas where a bunch of highways are stacked on top of each other,
Yeah.
like especially Philadelphia or Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And then there's a big furnace fest, like a big, no, a big furnace, like a big industrial area. And dude, this festival would not happen in California. It would not happen in Denver. The asbestos, the lead, the listeria, like all of like everything can kill you. And it's a free for all and it's fun and it's beautiful. And it's like, so this is what I was going to say about where we watched the show. Like it's in one of those big Quonset hut kind of things, right?
Okay.
Like if you took a tin can and you cut it in half and then the band plays in there, right? So
Yeah.
there's a way out and then there's a way in. And if you have one of these bands, this color, or if you're a VIP person, like the people that pay a lot, can go behind. There's almost in this stage an equal amount of space behind the band as there is in front of the band.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah,
And so
you're
if the stage is in the middle, it rises up on either side. So the further you get, the more you can see. Or if you want to be in the front, you can be in a pit. So, but then we found this weird, scary little balcony area that was probably like for the foreman of the factory that was watching back in the day, kind of
yeah.
like in Willy Wonka when she's like, I want to go to the ticket, and he's up and you can see, all of us climbed up there and it was not easy. Like this is not a legal, but this festival's like that. It's not like anything is like, it's a free for all. It's like, where do you want to get?
Yeah.
So we're all busting up there and watching like pretty much over Stretch Armstrong. It was awesome.
That sounds
So
great.
awesome.
And those dudes, I mean, I haven't seen them live probably in 20 years, but I remember going to like Purple Door Fest and watching them play,
Mm-hmm.
and what like one of the most high energy live bands you could
Mm-hmm.
ever ask to see.
The thing about them, like, so we were on Warped Tour with them in 2002. There were certain bands that I became friends with, Stretch Armstrong being one, Andrew WK, I became friends with,
Nice.
and then Alkaline Trio. But Stretch Armstrong, like they are just the sweetest, awesome guys. And so, of course, I was feeling like a little fluttery. Like I said, I was feeling fangirlish. So I have this. So I just went on the stage after, like, this is how it's free for all. Pretty much, if you have this, you can be on the stage for any. Like I was on the stage for Sunny Day Real Estate. You can be on the stage anywhere. Basically, like I went up there after they played, and I was like, so good to see you. I'm a big fan. Like I haven't seen you in a long time, and I don't know if you remember. I play in five. And they're like, we know who you are, and I was like, oh, that kind of like, oh.
So Saturday then, with Saturday, who's the band you're like most excited to see? Saturday rolls around.
Saturday, the big one was seeing Pedro the Lion play Control.
Oh yeah. Oh, what an
But
album
but
too.
but that was so that day was interesting because I knew, like I kind of said to you, that I was going to hang out. So we knew, like the other thing that's cool, Matt, about the merch area is it's underneath this the highway, I would say.
Yeah.
So you're protected, you have shade and you're protected from rain. So it's a long highway. So there's all along in, two sets are the merch. I show up and there's this line and the line and the line and the line. And I'm like, what? It was the Blindside vinyl line, dude. It was like a 3 hour
Oh.
wait. But so that line was happening. I finally get to the end of that line, Blindside, go to our merch table. Dude, I thought I was showing up nice and early. The fest starts at like, we were told we could show up around 10. Band start at noon. I get there at about like 12:30. The line for our merch was wrapping around an area. And I'm not used to that at festivals for us. And Andy, I got to hand it to Andy, Brad, Micah, Trisha, done it like Reese. Everyone was just working, selling stuff. And me, because there's so many people back there and, I talked to every person, and I just started at the beginning of the line, and for about 3 hours, I lost my voice. I
Yeah.
talked to took pictures, had conversations. It was, I mean, my heart was like, after COVID, I was like, oh, this is what I need. Like,
Yeah.
talk to me. It was so cool.
But I think that that's also and this is not a diss at any other bands, but like that is why you have a line of people wrapped around too, is like there's a
Yeah,
personality to that. There's like an
yeah,
actual, I got to do the merch for Punchline's 25th anniversary show, and it's like this is a band that never really had a hit single, never had
mm,
anything, but for 25 years they've showed nothing but the most appreciation a band could
yeah.
possibly show for their diehard fans. So then they're doing this
Hmm.
25-year anniversary show and people are flying in from like California just to come and see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah.
there is something to be said about that grassroots, like
Hmm.
just talking to your fans as if they're your friends and other people. And there is something frustrating when you go to see a slightly bigger band and they're not, you couldn't even find them at the merch table if you tried because
That's what I said about Blindside. I'm sure they
yeah,
were there, but
yeah,
maybe, maybe not.
they had a tour, usually they have someone
Hmm.
who just runs the merch table, and maybe if you're lucky,
Hmm.
you'll catch a glimpse of one of them coming
Right.
back there to grab something.
A couple of my favorite things was one favorite thing was two times or maybe three, there'd be a kid in the band and or in the line, and he'd be like, he or she would be like 19, 20,
Yeah.
young, young. And I'd be like, I'm kind of cocky, but I'm like, you excited to see us? Blah, blah, blah. Thanks for coming, blah, blah, blah. Just assuming they know who I am. Oh,
Yeah.
Matt, do they know who I am? Right. And a lot of them be like, oh, you're in the band? I'm like, yeah. And then more than once, a young person will be like, I have to get my dad a t-shirt. He loves you guys. And the kid has no idea who we are. Like they're here for like all the other bands on the list that I don't know who they are, right? Like all the cool new stuff. And they're like, my dad just, he's texting me. I'm showing him the shirts.
Yeah.
More than once that happened. And I was like, that is so cute.
All I can think of is that scene in Empire Records where the one young girl goes up to him and she's just like, I'm getting this from my mom. I don't even know who you are.
that
Like,
was that was literally what was happening. So that happened. And then the other one that was fun for me, two of the things that were fun. One that was fun is, and of course you're going to hear this at your merch line. So it's not like this is the status quo. It's not. But
yeah.
at my merch line, I'm going to hear, I'm here to see you guys in Blindside.
Yeah.
Like, and there were people from Canada that flew in. There were people from Florida. There were people from, I don't think that there was any people from Europe. There were some New Zealanders, but I'm here to see you guys, and Blindside was the big thing that I kept hearing. And that was like, oh,
Yeah.
in our line. Third one, and then we'll go to the fourth one. The third one is meeting people that are like, I'm from Atlanta. And I'm like, well, those people down there are from Atlanta. And then the minute, I hook them up.
Yeah.
So I did that a lot.
You're
Like, you're from here,
bonding
you're
friends.
from here. Oh, he's from Vancouver, Canada. That's random. They're from Vancouver. Oh, you're from Minneapolis. They're from Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And so I was like coupling up people. And then my other fourth favorite thing was a few times I met people that were there totally alone. I was like, you here with anybody? Or blah, 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 blah. Find out they're totally alone. And then there'd be like a little crew people. And I'm like, he's in your world now. These are Five Iron fans. Talk to them, watch the show, hang out. And it almost like, just let him on in. Oh, he's hanging with them today.
I love that.
It was so cool.
So let's talk about the set real quick though. So you because of the
Mm.
technical issues, you played a slightly shorter set, you said, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now in that time frame, did you feel like with the shorter set, did you feel like you got a nice blend of like new five iron and classic five iron, or because of the shortened set, did it kind of lean more towards one or the other?
It was pretty balanced. We had to take out one new song because we were running out of time. And then we had to take out, I think, one or two songs from Engines.
Okay.
So those are still kind of new, but those are ones that we still enjoy playing because they're new to us, and
Yeah.
because they're good songs. But it was kind of annoying because the Denver show, we were headliners and there were two bands, Planet Smashers and us. So the Denver show, we played so long. Like
Yeah.
we added two more songs. So I think we played like 18 songs,
Nice.
like so many songs. We just kept adding them. And like when we were suggesting it during band practice, it was like, well, what are we going to take out to add this? And we're like, no, we're just adding it.
Yeah.
So we pushed it for Denver. And so this set was supposed to be a half an hour. I mean, we obviously do like Handbook, Milestone, the
Yeah.
Moshers, right? I think one of the bummers for people when we did Furnace Fest is we didn't end with Every New Day.
Gotcha.
And we ended with So Far, which is also a spiritual song. But I know for most people, when when Five Iron plays, there's a place we go, it's almost like a journey,
Yeah.
like rock out, have fun, some introspection, some dorkiness, and then definitely like at the end is like the spiritual,
Yeah.
and we still kind of did it, but it's just not the same when you don't end with every new day. But we didn't have the time to pull all that off.
18 songs sounds like bliss to me.
It is. It's fun because you get like the ones that are like, oh Canada,
Yeah.
like the ones that people love, but it's like, do we feel like we're showing off musically by playing this? No, this is like a no-brainer, but it's fun.
Is there an older song in the catalog that you love, but felt like fans didn't like it enough to get to play it live?
There's one that I love, and if we change the writing of it, I love Evil Plan,
Okay.
but I hate that it has solos
Gotcha.
because I can't solo. You heard me. Five Iron's not a soloing band. If we could make it so like Dennis did a solo, and Brad and I did a little padding behind him. Evil Plan is just so good. Like
Yeah.
Reese is good at it. The message is good. It has almost like a NoFX ripoff vibe. I feel like I'm the reason. Like I feel
Yeah.
like I just can't solo and I suck. And it hasn't really been. Maybe I will bring this up because it hasn't been communicated that we could rewrite it. Like we could
Or
rewrite it to where there's no solos and then it would be really playable and people would love it. And why not? Like why not? We can do what we want.
I mean, on your first farewell tour, you did have that cool little like medley of a bunch
The
of songs.
medley.
It just you have a deep enough catalog where
Yeah.
you could just be like, all right, here's a medley of like a
I
bunch of
also
songs
like
we
Old
really
West,
like.
but I
Like,
think with Old West, we started playing it too much. Like we got tired of it. So what happens is sometimes you play something so much, like Sucker Punch and Old West, they're old ones. Right now we're on a milestone kick, and Handbook is always kind of there. Just like the old songs, like it's just like this is going to be the punk rock one,
yeah.
or the two or three good moshers. Like right now we've been playing One Girl a lot, and people love it. Like that one, we did that one at the festival, and just the horns, man, it sounds great. It sounds huge.
You've definitely earned the catalog of songs to lead to a giant line of people wrapping around a festival to meet
Right.
y'all. And take that, Blindside. They did it without an exclusive vinyl. So, I'm gonna keep pushing the Blindside versus
Right.
Five Iron mythos
Okay,
at
I want to
least.
talk about the festival just a
Yeah,
little
so
bit
let's
more.
talk more about
So,
the festival. Let's get back on
two
it.
more things that I really appreciated and we needed. We needed. So, because it was a longer festival, a lot of the band was in town for a while for it. Micah's wife, Trisha, came. Dennis's wife, Melinda, and his son, who just started college, Copeland, came.
Okay.
And you have to walk quite a ways from the furnace, the
Yeah.
grounds, the fest grounds, off to a visitor center, which is like beautiful and new and crisp and really clean. And that's where the meals are catered.
Okay.
And so they constantly have food there and it's good food.
Nice.
And you show your meal ticket, and they had big round tables and just Matt sitting around the table with my best friends, eating food, having cold drinks in the air conditioning. We marinated that time, dude. It was so fun laughing. Like, I'm sure other bands, and again, I'm not being judgy, but you have like all these other tables, and it's like five dudes all wearing black with big beards, maybe
Yeah.
dreads, maybe mustaches. But we look different, right? We're a different vibe. And, we have some women there, we have a kid there, we're just laughing, we're stupid. Like the humor is just stupid. And it was just cool. Like we just needed that as a band to all work and no play is not good for Five Iron. We
No,
need time to chill in each other's friendships and inside jokes.
I think that that's valid. Like I do a lot of conventions all over the United States, and I always tell people that like the actual time that I spend at the convention is kind of inconsequential. Like, sure, I see cool things, but when people ask me like, "What's your favorite memory?" It's usually like, "Oh, when the
Yep.
convention was over and we all went out and got dinner together, and we were just like
Yep.
sitting around laughing and having a good like." It's the
Right.
time that you're spending with the people there. The
Yep.
concerts kind of all just bleed together at a certain point. The conventions all bleed together, but it's those
Mm-hmm.
like you said, the memory of sitting at a table with some of your best friends just laughing in an air conditioned
Yeah.
room. Like, yeah, that's what you're going to
Yeah.
remember 10 years from now about Furnace Fest.
Well, and what's funny is like I don't think I shared this with you, but one time we were having like a rough season, and It was a few years ago, probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And we were in a hotel room and everyone kind of went around a circle and said, "Why do you do this? Why are you in five iron? Like,
Yeah.
let's just hear it. Why are you? I mean, it's a lot of work." And everyone said, and it got emotional,
Yeah.
and I wasn't even the first one to answer, but everyone said, "To see you guys. Like, you're my
Yeah.
best friends. Some people said you're my only friends. Some people said you're my best friends. Some people said it'd be way too expensive to pay. Some people said this is an expensive hobby. Way to see your best friends." But it's true.
You would be hard pressed to find a band of the membership size of Five Iron
Yeah.
Frenzy with so few member changes. You know what I
There's
mean?
been
Like,
one. There's only been one.
yeah. And it's like
Yeah.
you look at like three-piece bands that swap out members on a regular
Mhm.
basis. Like if that doesn't
Yeah.
say something about the like genuine friendship and unity that like glues all of you
Yeah.
together, I don't know what else does, because yeah, we've seen 3 and 4 piece bands that like, oh, just the singer's the only original member anymore or
Hmm.
something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
That was a lot of the conversations that I had
yeah,
because I'd be backstage and talking to different bands, and then I'd be like, "Oh, I don't know all the bands." Like, I'd be like, "Well, how long have you been in the band?" They'd be like, "2016." I'm like, "Okay."
yeah,
I'm not judging it, but at the same time, I'm like, "Well, that's cool." The other thing that's cool about Five Iron is oftentimes a lot of bands do like to go out, right? Like after a show, go out, go to a diner, and we used to. Now it's like go to a hotel room, order a couple pizzas, a six pack, maybe one bottle of whiskey, and just take some and have a couple beers and watch YouTube videos and eat pizza. That's
yeah.
how cool we are. That's partying. That's partying after the show.
That is the energy of the very first time I ever went backstage to interview some of you.
Mhm.
Was that like it was just hanging out backstage at a Philly venue, and it was just like a
Right.
cooler of like a case of beer and like
Yeah.
everyone just busting each other's chops and laughing and having a good time. Like there
That's
was
it. Like
nothing else.
our writer is like a veggie tray stuffed for peanut butter and jelly, some kombucha. Not all of us drink, but I do. I do like, if I can have, I'm not really a beer person. I like making a margarita before the show, which is pretty Latin and high maintenance because when we first joined with Over Easy, it'd be like they'd put tequila back there. But through the years of knowing me, they're like, some salt, a glass, some lime, a cutting board. Like this chick wants and if I, some jalapenos, like I'm high maintenance, Matt. Like I know it. It's okay with me. It is so okay with me.
So what else? What
Well,
else is some of the big memories from Furnace Fest?
yeah, just watching a veil was awesome. Watching a veil and saying hello to those guys. They were great. The unfortunate thing about their set, they did great, but somebody got hurt. It's a
Oof,
concrete
yeah.
floor and people are crowd surfing and somebody did get hurt and the paramedics had to come and get this guy. Someone crowd surfed on his head, I think, or like dropped
Oh
him. And so
no.
it was rough, but everybody, just the whole crowd just moved out of the way and was quiet and was mellow. And then they even asked the crowd, like Avail did, they're like, "Are you cool if we play a couple more songs?" And everyone was like, "Yeah." So
Yeah.
they did. And then Sunny Day Real Estate was a different vibe too, because they played the outdoor stage, and so did Newfound Glory,
Okay.
which that felt more like a big headlining stage, like
Yeah.
where it goes into a field and they have the screen behind them and the sound was so loud. And watching Sunny Day Real Estate was rad. And they have this little VIP area, which I don't know how much it costs. I'm kind of spoiled. I think it's very expensive. But they have those hanging chairs, like the wicker chairs that are hanging.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so Reese and I, and it's a two-person chair. So Reese and I just have an arm around each other, and we're watching and listening to Sunny Day Real Estate, and just our feet are rocking back and forth. And we're like, "This is the life."
Yeah. It's
I'm here with one of my best friends, and just felt awesome just to be with my buddy and hang out and have some time to just chill, and it was cool.
I love that. So was
Yeah,
it just 2 stages? Was it the outdoor and
just
the
three.
indoor? Okay.
Then the one we played, which the one we played was an outdoor one, but it wasn't huge, and it was by a pond that had fountains, like old industrial pipes that were shooting fountains. And I swear that is where I say listeria. Like
Yeah.
I'm just like, but the cool thing is if you don't want to be in the crowd, there was tons of grassy, beautiful area to just sit.
Nice.
And our stage was kind of under a big tree, so it was shady. It was cool. It was cool, dude.
Look, we gotta convince Furnace Fest to, have a couple music-based podcasts, in
Yeah.
2023, and I'll come on down.
Yeah. So a couple of shout outs. I got to give a shout out to the Mosh Maidens.
Okay.
They're a women group that I don't know, just kind of a bunch of friends of mine that I didn't even know they were doing this thing, but it's just kind of like a Furnace Fest meetup group slash support group for women. And then Adam Baker, who is a pastor that has a great heart, that was there and made some time for me. And yeah, just the people at the hotel. We stayed at the Hilton, and the people that worked there were just so sweet and so kind. And like I said, like chivalry is not dead in Birmingham. It's a little something I'm not used to, like a little irksome when people say yes, ma'am, like almost like it's a tick. But at the same time, I do appreciate the chivalry. Does that make sense?
No, I totally get that. Because,
Yeah.
but all right, well, it sounds like
Sounds
all
like
in
I want to
all,
go. Sounds like I want to go back next year.
it
Sounds like I
sounds
want to
like
go
you're
back
gonna
next
have that
year.
bracelet on your arm until next year when you get the new bracelet.
I know, gosh, it's coming off. I'm going to take after this podcast, it's time. But the point is, if anybody watches this, if anybody watches this, and you're like online and they say, "What bands do you want to see?" Can you please put our name in the mix?
Yeah, put Five Iron on the mix and say, hey, more live podcasts, and maybe suggest like One Hit Thunder, Too Punk to Be a Hippie, and Krista Makes a Podcast. They'd all be really great shows to have out there, I think.
Yeah, very cool. Well, thanks, Matt. It's good to talk to you, and we'll talk about more hippie things later.
Yeah.